Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Archana Kaushik from Department of Social Work, University of Delhi. Today we are going to learn about quality education and community engagement from the paper Human Resource Development through Community Engagement. After completing this module, the students would be able to understand the role of community in ensuring quality education, identify the existing initiatives of educational services in seeking community engagement, providing suggestion and intervention to enhance community engagement in guaranteeing quality education. Community engagement is vital for attaining the goal of education for all. It ensures greater accountability and transparency from the educational system. It accurately highlights the local needs and challenges that act as bottleneck in provision of quality education. Community participation is a necessary prerequisite to quality education. Globally, experiments and best practices have proved crucial role of community in ensuring quality education. Since ancient times, educational institutions in the form of Gurukul, Pathshala and Madarsa existed as community-based or initiated institutions. During British rule, schools based on formal education system were established without the involvement of community. This formalization of education led to weakening of linkage between schools and community, and the gap gradually widened. Relevance of community engagement in education. National Policy on Education 1986 has said, education is essentially for all. It is fundamental to our all-round development, material and spiritual. Education has an enculturing role. It refines sensitivities and perceptions that contribute to national cohesion, a scientific temperament and independence of mind and spirit, thus furthering the goals of socialism, secularism and democracy urged in our constitution. Community engagement and education. To be effective, education system needs to respond to socio-cultural specificities of the community. School, parent and community have shared responsibility to socialize and educate children to become responsible citizens. Other than parents and families, community too has the potential to influence child's upbringing, socialization and education. Schools should inculcate values of equality, justice and human rights to children so as to create an inclusive and egalitarian society. School is expected to both train the individual for practical occupations and skills and to provide basic societal values like respect to elders, obeying civic norms, etc. Context of community. Differential aspects of community profoundly influence the access and availability of quality education for its children. Some community contextual factors that limit access to education are caste discrimination, migration, gender, religious identity, attitudes of service providers, poverty, homelessness, disability, infrastructure. Community engagement types and patterns. Schaeffer has identified community engagement into 7 degrees or levels as described below. First, involvement through mere use of a service. Second, involvement through the contribution. Third, involvement through attendance. Fourth, involvement through consultation on a particular issue. These 4 are passive types of engagements. Fifth, participation in the delivery of a service, often as a partner with the other actors. Sixth, participation as implementers of delegated powers. Seventh, participation in real decision making at every stage. These three are active participation types. Other categorizations of community engagement can be active or passive participation. In passive participation, community people are merely informed about the educational programs and participation is at rudimentary level. On the contrary, community people may actively participate in decision making, planning and execution of various activities related to school functioning. Other categorizations of community engagement are participation can be legislated or self-mobilized. When legal or constitutional backing is provided to participatory structures, it is legislated. For instance, 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments have recommended setting up of local bodies and their involvement in providing educational and other services. On the other hand, sometimes people participate by their own initiatives independent of any external system or change agents, and such help initiatives would fall under this category. Other categorizations of community engagement can be participation by providing information or material contribution. Further, sometimes people participate merely by providing information such as in research, or at times participation is through contribution in various forms of labor, cash or kind. In various programs, community contribution is sought in the form of matching grant. Community engagement in education. School, parents and community have strong bearing on each other. Government and private schools have their unique set of challenges and problems. Challenges in government schools can be dropouts, first generation learners, home environment, quality education, etc. Challenges in private schools are bullying, drug addiction, familial problems impacting academic performance, educational and sexual problems, adjustment with peers from different cultural backgrounds, etc. Lack of school, home and community liaison affects the education system with high dropout rates, mental health problems, adjustment problems, scholastic backwardness, truancy, school phobia and such others, which may have root causes embedded in the family and community. Social workers play wide range of roles: preventive, management, supportive, promotive, mental health, intervention, crisis management and support services. They also facilitate community involvement in schools while advocating for schools' well-being. For optimum development of children, there should be strong interlinkage between school system and parents or families and the community. School, home and community are the three pillars of education system. Concerted and collaborative efforts of which can result in goal of quality education for all. Globally, experiments have shown that community ownership to oversee school functioning has resulted in significant improvements in quality education and high retention rate of children. Existing initiatives in school community engagement. The National Policy on Education recommended the establishment of community engagement frameworks at district and sub-district levels for its greater involvement in community members in the management of elementary education. The 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments have entrusted roles and responsibilities to Panchayati Raj bodies in management and control of education. Community participation has been translated into reality with the creation of various grassroots level structures of community engagement such as Village Education Committee, School Management Committee, Mother Teacher Association, Parent Teacher Association, Women Motivator Group. Existing initiatives of school community engagement. Community participation, which means parents, community as well as local elected bodies, was a basic component of all major universalization of elementary education projects such as Bihar Education Project, Uttar Pradesh Basic Education Project, District Primary Education Program, Lok Chumbish, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, etc. Roles and functions of VECs. First is preparing action plan for the village, responsibility to check attendance, school functioning, accountability of teachers, ensuring enrollment of all children of 6 to 14 years, monitoring school activities for quality education, universalizing elementary education, paying special attention to the educational needs of the girls and other disadvantaged groups. Let us now look at the roles and functions of PTAs and MTAs. Assisting in smooth functioning of the school, mobilizing resources for school improvement, improved facilities in the school like compound wall, new classroom, toilet facilities, repair and maintenance, midday meals, etc. Helping teachers locate school children and motivate their parents who have dropped out from the school. Promoting linkages between school, community. However, there are wide variations in the functioning across the state and districts. On the whole, Village Education Committee, Parent Teacher Association and various other community structures have been created to forge and strengthen linkage between community and the school. These also give adequate representation to the disadvantaged groups and look after the functioning of the schools. However, the effectiveness of village education committees, parent teacher associations depends on awareness and motivation of the members and technical and resource support provided to them. Let us now look at the ways to enhance community engagement in education provision. Community has the potential to play a vital role in making education system efficient and effective. Decentralization of education governance has been articulated in the policies and efforts have been directed towards institutionalization of community's participation for education. The community participation and support in the process of educating children becomes necessary so that the education is more responsive to the local needs, reflects more accurately the local participation and perception and produces a sense of ownership and responsibility. Ways to enhance community engagement. Decentralization of educational governance is one of the major strategies for inducing greater community involvement in education. However, merely formation of local bodies and handing over basic education to them may not ensure community's participation. Until community realizes its ownership and actively engages itself in functioning, especially decision making related to education, these local bodies remain paper tigers. Challenges to community engagement in education. A huge proportion of members of VEC, PTAs, MTAs are not aware of their roles and duties. Majority of them, especially the poor, are illiterate and semi-literate. Their focus remains on earning 2 square meals a day. They even lack motivation to oversee functioning of school. Even educated parents and well-aware community members generally do not show readiness in actively participating in school activities. Psychological preparedness is of crucial significance for engagement of community people in educational activities. Traditional administrative system initiated by the British worked on bureaucratic principles of maintaining hierarchy, secrecy and rigid following of rules. Indian society too had cultural values of conformity. Obedience and respect to the authority has been the normative practice in India. Questioning or contesting a teacher is difficult even to comprehend. Expecting a poor, illiterate parent to be assertive in front of teachers is difficult. It is another major bottleneck in ensuring transparency and seeking accountability from the education system. After independence, schools were established in communities, teachers were appointed and efforts were made for easy accessibility of education to children. However, communities failed to realize the importance of education. Providing school does not ensure attainment of education by pupils. Creation of demand of education is vital and supply, that is schools without demand, would remain unutilized. Once a community, including parent or child, feels the need of education, efforts would be made to acquire education. Ways to enhance community engagement in education. This demand creation was done in total literacy mission, which gained huge success. Government adopted various initiatives such as Kala Jatha, Nukkad Natak, Bal Mela, radio, TV programs, production of video and audio cassettes, printing of newsletters and pamphlets, etc. for disseminating information about benefits of education that created demand for education and also enhanced community participation. After creating awareness and working on the psyche of community members so as to motivate them to actively participate in monitoring of school system, next step is their capacity building. Block resource centers and district institute of education and training can provide training and orientation to the members of VECs, community leaders, youths and other volunteers. Once the community people are aware, are motivated and are trained, they can help identify and address factors that contribute to educational problems such as high dropout rate, poor academic performance, etc. Community participation can aid in promoting girls' education. Through participation in school activities, talking to children, parents and communities can understand importance of girls' education and their potential to improve their lives, family health and nutrition, reduced fertility rates, child mortality rates and their economic empowerment. Aware and participatory communities can help in developing indigenous curriculum and learning materials so as to make the education more functional and relevant. Parental involvement in education, particularly in school governance, can make schools more accountable. When parents contribute their time, labor, materials, land and funds, they tend to be more involved in community activities, including participation in meetings with teachers and monitoring teachers' performance. Participation can greatly help develop accountability, which contributes to improving the educational delivery. Community members are expected to be actively involved in the process of interventions through planning, implementation and evaluation. Furthermore, they are expected to acquire skills and knowledge that will be enabled to monitor and evaluate effectively. Ways to enhance community engagement in education. Thus, the community engagement in enhancing quality education provision has three stages. First, community awareness is a precondition to utilization of educational services. Creating a demand for education is subsequent step which prepares the community to view the needs of education as their primary and basic need. Second, community mobilization and participation is the second stage. Now the community starts realizing the need to involve itself in education system, appraises the existing specific socio-cultural and economic challenges that act as barriers in acquiring education and also collectively finds ways and means to address them. Capacity building of community people is the part of this stage. Third and final, community participation and empowerment is the stage. Community people through various forums participate in school system, closely monitor its functions, attend to the loopholes and issues that are hampering effective functioning of schools. In this stage, sense of ownership of school system prevails and community members participate in the school system as a matter of their duty as well as right. It also ensures community empowerment and also provision of quality education to its children. Let us summarize what we have studied in this module. The scope of community participation in the educational process has been expanded and widely acknowledged over the decades. The decentralized system envisages the community as an active partner in the process of planning, designing, implementing, mobilizing and evaluating school activities. Various efforts have been made to ensure community support and participation in school education. Challenges related to community's engagement in provision of education are discussed. Community awareness and demands creation are the prerequisite to utilize educational facilities. Active community participation or engagement in educational system facilitates transparency and accountability and help in realizing the goal of education for all. Thank you.